Show yourself. Just kidding. Oh, God, the bee.
Paola.
Your
What's
girl
up?
Paola is back. As many of you who are probably watching to this day have already seen, one of my more popular videos, and I'm not doing this because it's popular, by the way, but one of my more popular videos by nature was one with my cousin Paola, where she goes on about her story with depression and her struggles and the reasons why she was going through her depression and things of that scope. Yeah, things of that scope. And I'm hanging out with her today, and I figured I'd bring my camera along, and maybe she could update you all on how she's doing today and what she's been up to, the tools she's using to make sure she stays on top of her mental health, things like that. Just in general, just catch up and hang out with my little cousin, because I honestly love hanging out with her, and I'm just now starting to make more time for the people I love and just new experiences altogether. So
Same, honestly.
yeah, so Paola.
So, from the last time we spoke, I was involving you guys in my life, in my struggle with depression and anxiety. Sadly to say, I did have a setback recently, but I'm doing a little bit better. And yeah, so I call it an episode because there's a lot that goes on. So I was contemplating, sadly, suicide. I was very with my demons at the time, and also do not drink. But I was drinking, sadly. So it kind of set me back. But honestly, all I can take from it is learn from it. I talked to my doctor. I told her what happened, and yes, believe me, it is the scariest thing to be in a doctor's office explaining your episode, because you never know, the worst can happen and they can send you to the hospital to be monitored. And honestly, it was a fear because it was going to be so real. And so when I did come to her, she didn't send me to the hospital to be monitored because I was already monitored at my home. I explained to her what happened, and I'm on new medication, some anxiety and depression pills, some new ones that I'm trying out. I am doing that. I'm starting to go to therapy again. I really recommend it if you have some demons and struggles and you're bottling it in. I do recommend to go to therapy, or at least have somebody to talk it with, because if you keep bottling it in, it's just gonna come out eventually, and not in the goodest way possible. Yeah, some self stuff that I've been doing besides is just reading. Honestly, it doesn't matter if it's fiction or facts or anything, really. Just read so it can get you out of your mindset, get your imagination flowing. I used to say that I never had an imagination, but now I do. I discovered it. Yeah. Oh, and another thing is journal. I stopped it. I tried it when I was younger, but it didn't work out for me because I wasn't being honest with myself. Now I am, and it's been life-changing, really. You don't have to journal all day or every day or something just to get it out of your system. I really, really recommend it for everybody, for anybody. Yeah, and then just be productive with your life. Be cautious that life goes on. It doesn't wait for you. So you can be missing out on a lot of opportunities and activities. So that's just an update for my life and everything.
Thank you for sharing that. I'm always this is only the second time we do this, and both times I've been like blown away by your level of transparency and your level of not really holding things back. I guess I should face the camera a little bit towards me, huh? So this is the second time that we do this with my cousin. This is the second time I do this with my cousin. I'm not trying to drop my camera over there. And both times I've been super impressed and blown away by how honest you're able to be with, strangers, basically. And I feel like that's really important. And I was noticing some of the tools that you were saying about reading, things like that. I wanted to ask you, sometimes, even for me personally, I feel like sometimes I'm like trying to read a book, and literally I just feel like all I can think of are my thoughts. Do you have anything that helps you kind of just like settle down and be like, okay, despite how I'm feeling, like
at that point, that's when I realized that I needed to journal.
Okay.
Because since your thoughts are flowing and everything is going on, journal. You don't necessarily, if you suck at writing, believe me, I did, but journaling helped me. If you don't like writing, videotape yourself or record your voice. That works as well. It's one of the also coping mechanisms that I tried back in the day, and it did help me at the time. When I had one of my episodes a while back, I recorded myself and I heard it back when I was better, and I couldn't believe any of the stuff that I was saying, because it didn't sound like me. It didn't sound like I wanted to live, or I wanted to pursue life. And it really makes it real and sits with you and says, look, like, you do have demons. Everybody has demons. Just try to cope with them best way possible. Some people like meditation. I like aromatherapy. Like, it's really, really good for me. I love being out in nature. Being cooped up in a room or being in an apartment or in a home by yourself is very lonely and very depressing. So you get into that feel, and at that point you just have to reach out to someone or just get out of that environment, and it would go a long way, believe me.
At any point, did you feel like you didn't recognize the person you were hearing when you would hear back your recordings? Yeah. You could hear it in your voice, and I feel like for the most part, that's why, especially you, I know you tend to be a pretty bubbly person, so I can imagine when you're not, when you're having one of those days, people notice it right off the bat, right?
Yeah.
People are like, okay, like, she's not having a good day.
Even when I was around people in my depression and everything, I tried to be bubbly and happy and everything, but at the same time, I wasn't me. I was dealing with all this stuff, and I wanted to be a different type of person, kind of like two-faced.
Yeah, but not on purpose, obviously.
But not on purpose, obviously. And people around me did notice, and they did get concerned, and they talked to me, and I confronted with them, and I talked to them. Big obstacles that I tend to overcome, or that I have overcome, would be with my parents, because they're very reserved and private, and when it comes to my mental health or when it comes to my sexuality or anything, I didn't know how they would handle it, and therefore I held it in. I just
bottled it up.
Yeah, bottled it up. I didn't want to say anything, and that caused a really lot of trauma and a lot of episodes, as you can see. So I just really recommend to just talk to somebody. The helpline could help as well. I haven't tried it myself, but I heard that from other people that it really does help. Go out in your community, go out to schools, or go out to any group activities or anything. Just meet new people, and they have similar stories with you. Believe me, there are a lot of people like you, which I never thought that there was for me, but I learned a lot from being out in school environments and groups, and they do help you cope, because they have different coping mechanisms.
So Paola, I have one more question. Well, not one more question, but this is the next question that randomly just popped in my mind. Not randomly, but based on what you're telling me. So I'm wondering, how exactly did you get to this point where you're just so openly able to talk about these things? Because honestly, like, I also, as you know, you're my cousin, so I've opened up to you, and you know some of my struggles and the things I've had to go through and the way I've dealt with them, and I try to share with people tools on how to deal with certain things, but I don't quite share my story the way you share your story. Like, you are open, like you are an open book for people, and I'm honestly, that's a superpower. So I want to know, how have you brought yourself?
Like that. Yeah, no, believe me. When I first had my episode in high school, I was terrified, and I was didn't want to say anything. I didn't want to be to have people involved, or to have people know that I'm struggling. So I didn't want to say anything. Honestly, it came to a point where I realized that I do need to say it, or I need to write it down, or I need to talk about it. And the more you talk about it, honestly, it makes it easier, because you're explaining yourself to somebody, and at the same time you're realizing things about yourself. Like, I have always been an open person. I've always been positive. So when I have those negative triumphs, I try to see what they are, and then think of it as a positive side, like pray what you preach.
Practice what you preach.
There you go. Practice what you preach. And that's what I've been trying to do. I've always been open about it because a part of me has felt that I'm not the only one. So
Definitely.
I always wanted to open about it with certain people just to see if we had something in common. And honestly, like, my brother has been a big help. He went through similar stuff with me as well, and he helped me cope with it, and he helped me open up with it, especially with my parents or with my family, and which makes it easier to open up with you guys and say what I need to say, and hopefully it helps somebody, or that's fine, or if it gets you thinking, that's as well. Like, that's good too. Yeah.
No, I'm telling you, the last time we did this was back in like February or March, and so it's been about half a year maybe since you gave an update like this to strangers. And I guess that's what I was trying to get at, because it's one thing to like sit with somebody, even if you might not know them a lot, like very well. It's one thing to sit with somebody and open up to them, but I feel like to open up so publicly, you know what I mean? Like to, like I said, strangers here.
Yeah.
I feel like that takes a lot of bravery, and I guarantee you that alone, even like message aside, that alone is probably going to help people see that, you know what I mean? Like, or kind of understand like how important it is to open up in general, because I can't tell you how many people I know that are like, they're very closed off from the world, and they know it. Like, they literally sit there and tell me like, I know I'm very closed off. I'm a very closed person. I don't like letting people know my problems. I don't like telling people this or that. And
I say, like, that's fine. That's perfectly fine.
Is it though? Because do you know where a lot of that's coming from?
From society, from a family, I'm assuming.
I mean like internally. Like, do you know where that's coming from in terms of like, at least in my experience, that's coming from people not having somebody to open up to for a long time, and thinking that opening up is a sign of weakness. You know what I mean? And that's why it's concerning to me, because it's like, I don't want people to think that opening up to somebody is a sign of weakness. You know, like, opening up is a sign of strength, because you're pushing past that boundary that society puts for you, that like boundary where I feel like, I don't know if it's society or maybe it is our culture, I'm not 100% sure, sorry, I'm out of focus, but I feel like that comes from that, you know what I mean? Like, and that really bothers me, for people to think that.
No, I agree. I agree 100%. For those people, I just really, really hope you have, since you don't have any of that and you're not comfortable talking to any person or whatever, talk to yourself. If you don't want to say it to the world, if you don't want to say it to anybody else, yourself. You only know yourself. You can only push yourself for so much, and that's your limit. That's what I can just say. Exactly
that. Those kind of moments that you just brought up, when you don't have someone to talk to, I feel like that's kind of where your other tools come in, like journaling and reading. If you don't have someone else to talk to, reading a book, at least in my experience, that's something that really helped me, because I started reading books from people who, they tell their stories, much like you're just sharing your story right now. And
books help you.
Yeah.
It helps you.
It serves for multiple purposes. One of them being a distraction.
Yes.
Distraction. What other reasons would you say books help you?
Distraction, realization, connection.
Exactly. Yes, that is one of my favorite ones. I really do feel like I connect when I read something. I connect with the author, and it's like they're writing down a vulnerable piece of their entire being. You know what I mean? Like their story, whether it's fiction or not. I don't know. I just feel connected. But I feel like you have to make the effort to try to connect like that, you know?
You do.
But, yes. Wow. That was so good. There's a reason why that video connected with more people than other videos. You know what I mean? Because this is some real shit that a lot of people go through, and a lot of people don't want to talk about it. And a lot of that is because maybe they don't have someone to talk to. You know what I mean?
That's true.
Or, yeah, I have some friends, like even people in my close circle who feel that way. They feel like I can't talk to, or not that I can't talk to anyone, they feel like they can't open up. They feel like it's a sign of weakness.
Yeah,
Like
I don't know if it's with our culture or with, and just overall in general, but it does help. At that point, it does help. You have to do best for you, and honestly, I learned to get out of my comfort zone. Getting out of my comfort zone, exploring new things. Yes, they're challenging. Yes, they're scared. But at the same time, you find out who you are. You find out what you like. You find out what you don't like, and believe me, that goes a long way. When if you're looking for love, what do you want in a person?
Amen.
What do you aspire that person to be like? What are you gonna tell them about yourself? Like you just find yourself, and with that you connect with people, and you find relationships, and you find partnerships.
You know, that's interesting that you brought that up about finding out about yourself, because I feel like, have you ever asked somebody like, tell me about yourself, and they freeze up?
Yeah, I've been asked the same question.
Me too. That's why I'm bringing it up.
I've been asked the same question, and I'm just like,
You're just
I'm
like,
sorry, what?
Like, what about me? Like, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. But that comes with asking yourself, who am I? You know what I mean? And it's a very clear, like, clear indication of the fact that we don't ask ourselves that question enough. You know what I mean? I'm not saying particularly you and I.
No,
I'm saying,
but yeah,
like,
overall,
people in general.
yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's crazy, huh?
I know.
Well, once again, thank you for being down to share this story. But what are you gonna do today with the rest of your day? I know you said you have work, right?
Yes. So today I'm gonna be helping out my mom because she does daycare. So I'll be helping out with her kids. I tend to do my journaling at night, just so I can get overall the view of how my day was, and I can just journal about it. So I will be doing that tonight. I read towards the end of the night, middle-ish. I might read right now. It depends how I feel. And I have work later on, so I'll be doing that.
Nice. Oh yeah.
There.
We'll do a high five too.
Yeah.
It's a nice day.
Yes, it is.
You want to tell them where we are?
We are at Peace Point. Right?
Peace Park. Close.
Peace Park. Sorry.
It's okay. Yeah. So where are we?
We are at Peace Point.
Park.
Park.
Peace Park. It's okay.
Peace Park.
Yeah, we're at Peace Park. It's a nice day. This is a local park here in Watsonville, California, which is close to Santa Cruz. For those of you who have no idea where Watsonville is, this is a little spot that I used to come make videos with my friend Ali back in the day, and I've done a few other things in this park. It's a nice little park. So let us grab some footage of how nice it looks.